everything.
It was great.
It was just great. His highlights, by the way, 40 years later, his highlights hold up. They're insane.
Yep.
But now he's blaming LeBron. LeBron is to blame for the super teams. Oh, it's just LeBron's fault. And I thought, oh boy, what's Nick going to say about this? So what are you going to say here?
All right, so listen, everyone belly up to their television because a quick little history lesson on the NBA. On today is actually the 55th anniversary of the Boston Celtics winning their 8th consecutive title of the 1960s. So methinks the 1960s had a super team because the team peeled off 8 in a row. What about the 70s? Well, Oscar Robertson, one of the greatest players ever, he ends up joining up with Lou Alcindor, soon to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, to form arguably the greatest team ever. The very next year, Elgin Baylor, who'd never won a ring, Jerry West, who'd been to 8 finals but never won a ring, and Wilt Chamberlain, who had somehow only won 1 ring, they all get together to form the 72 Lakers. Elgin gets hurt, doesn't matter, super duper team. They win, I think, 33 in a row, and they win the title. Then the league's a little watered down because the ABA and NBA are competing for talent. In the ABA, Dr. J is annihilating it. The ABA folds. Dr. J instantly gets to an NBA Finals, scores 40 points in an elimination game of those finals, but his team isn't good enough. That's 1977. 1980, he gets back to the NBA Finals, only to face the Los Angeles Lakers. They've got Kareem, they've got a guy named Jamal Wilkes, and a rookie named Magic Johnson. And nothing Dr. J does can be good enough, so he loses. The very next year, Dr. J is the best he's been in the NBA. He wins a league MVP. He gets to a Game 7 of the conference finals. They're playing a Boston Celtics team that has Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Cedric Maxwell, Tiny Nate Archibald, who was still good, and a rookie named Kevin McHale. Shockingly, the Sixers can't win that series. Goes to a Game 7. They lose by 1, not Dr. J's fault. The next year, Dr. J's still trying to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm the defending league MVP. Gets back to the finals, and who's there? Those damn Lakers again. So what happens? The 1981 MVP, Dr. J, and the 1982 MVP, Moses Malone, they team up together on the 1983 Sixers. And what happens? They form one of the greatest teams ever, who almost sweeps the entire NBA playoffs and wins the title to dethrone the previous super team Lakers and the soon-to-be super team Celtics that only predated the super teams of the Jordan, Pippen, Rodman Bulls, all of it. It's super team after super team after super team, starting 55 years ago today to now. So we want to put that on LeBron because he orchestrated his team instead of having smoke-filled room general managers orchestrate it. That's fine. But the history is not on my guy Dr. J's side.
No, I laugh about this. It used to be like 8 teams, and Boston had the best GM and the most money, and they got all the players. The players now just coordinate it more than the general managers coordinate it, and fans don't like that. Fans don't like when the players coordinate the super team. We're always okay with the GMs and the coaches coordinating it, and agents. That's fine.
Of course. And it's always been there.
Yeah.
The whole NBA history is awesome, awesome players coming together and winning a bunch of titles. That's the NBA's history.
Nick Wright, good seeing you, buddy.
You as well. Talk to you later.
All right, Nick Wright. He's right on that, by the way. Of course he's right. Everybody knows, by the way, sit and wait to see what Atlanta does. So they're laying the groundwork. They've made calls saying basically if Atlanta doesn't take a quarterback, we know Cincinnati's not. Your take on the Panthers moving back, the Patriots moving up, just kind of your thought on the story that developed today.
All right, so my immediate reaction to this story was I thought of you, and I almost sent you a congratulatory text that your guy Sam Darnold might actually have a chance to keep that job in Carolina. I know that makes you happy, and as your friend, it makes me happy for you. It also, listen, I think the Patriots are going to be able to get Jimmy Garoppolo if they want him for a second-round pick. So the question they have to ask themselves is if, let's say, Justin Fields falls, would you rather have whomever you were going to draft at 15 plus Jimmy Garoppolo, or use those 2 assets, the 15th pick and the second-round pick you were going to trade for Jimmy, for Justin Fields? I would rather have Justin Fields. I would potentially also rather have Trey Lance if he were available. And even if it sounds like you, Colin, have a higher regard for Garoppolo's ability than I do, but his availability is terrible. And I don't think it's a stretch to say he is right now the most injury-prone starting quarterback in the NFL.
He is.
He played, even in New England, when he was starting those games because the Patriots were mired in one of their many, many cheating scandals. I can't remember which one. He made it through 7 quarters and got hurt. So I think, casting your lot with him when he's had one fully healthy season is risky. So if Fields or Lance is there, I would make the move if I'm New England.
I said this. If I was a Niner fan, and to your point, then basically San Francisco only gave up a second-round pick for Garoppolo. I mean, in the world we live in today,
that's right.
Mac Jones, you may have given up 3 first-rounders for a guy you don't know can play. So you only gave up a second-rounder for Garoppolo, and he's gotten you to a Super Bowl, won a division. If you wake up this morning and think, we squeezed every last ounce of juice out of that orange, and you don't worry about it, and you just keep it. If he gets hurt, he gets hurt. Who cares? To me, if I'm a Niner fan and I wake up Monday morning and I think, okay, we've got Garoppolo, who we know can win now, and I get a guy that can at least go up against physically the Mahomes, Josh Allens, and I got an athlete, I would feel great. The idea that you'd get rid of Jimmy, fear he gets hurt, and Mac is starting against Russell Wilson, Stafford, and Kyler Murray, to me as a Niner fan, is terrifying, right?
I've never understood that part of it. That I totally agree. Now, if they draft Mac Jones, it means they're trading Jimmy immediately.
That's
I
right.
would imagine.
Yeah.
If they draft Trey Lance, then maybe this is a developmental year. Because keep in mind, Mahomes' first year didn't play. Sat behind Alex Smith. The Chiefs then traded Alex Smith, and Mahomes became immediately the league's MVP. So I've never understood the fascination with Mac Jones. If you had stayed at 12 and he fell to you there, that is so different than trading the 2022 and 2023 first-round picks to move up to get him. But if you do that, then you are trading Jimmy Garoppolo maybe during the draft.
Okay. The Bucs signed Antonio Brown. I would have not done that. Your thought on why they did that?
Well, I think because he was incredibly cheap. And I think this is a good story for all the young guys who are about to be drafted. Antonio Brown had as productive of a 6-year run as any receiver not named Jerry Rice in the history of football. And then he went to Oakland and all of a sudden was smuggling a counterfeit helmet onto the practice field. And everyone's like, all right, he has lost the plot here, boys and girls. And now he's playing for slightly less guaranteed money than the best kickers get. And I don't think it's because he can't play anymore. And so I understand why New England, they believe he'll be on his best behavior because he's not needed there so they can move off of him. And because you had I will bet you every team in the league this offseason had at least part of a meeting dedicated to, do we want to go after AB? And not a single team, it would appear, decided he was worth $5 million guaranteed. That speaks to, at some point, no matter how good you are on the field, the off-the-field stuff can cost you, any ability to make real money in this league and play on anything except 1-year contracts.
Okay, so Dr. J, who I grew up with, probably one of the first athletes in the NBA he came from the ABA. Everybody fell in love with him. He had a shoe deal.